It's getting closer. Ass end is all on. Foot pegs are all on. Shifter's there, so I haven't hooked it up. Chain's on. This side too, all ready for the exhaust to get put on there. I used a heat gun, bent this just a little bit to accommodate for the bigger chain. Same there. The other one that I'm particularly proud of, it's hard to see, under there, underneath that chain, that's actually a piece of plastic. It's a UHMD. So it's a UHMD? UHMW? I don't know. Ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. So it's super wear abrasion resistant. So if my chain, it's sitting on it now, you kind of see down in there. When it sits down, it's actually been suspended. The chain doesn't rub on anything. It's perfect, which was such a fucking fluke. But if the chain were to get a little bit slack and hit that, it wouldn't, that's part of the frame down there. So it wouldn't grind down the frame. It would just run on that plastic rail that I can replace. So that's my slick fix there. Throttle cables are all hooked up. Clutch is all hooked up. Basically just gotta wire it and throw the exhaust on now. And then should be good to go. And we'll then hook up the cooling system, which is the big question mark still. And then upgrade the front suspension to handle the weight differential. And then she should be good to fucking roll. The cooling system on this is crazy now. I'm concerned because the piping's a little bit narrower, so the amount of water that can flow is less through that. So hopefully it has enough volume to keep the thing cool. But I used there's a radiator there. So I used computer radiators for cooling like high performance CPUs and stuff. When people build like big gaming computers, they use these things. And they're like super high quality copper. So they radiate really well. So there's one there. And then there's another one mounted inside the panel on this side, another one inside the panel on that side. So there's actually 3 radiators on this bike, which is crazy. And it's way more cooling capacity than the stock one in terms of how much airflow or how much like surface area there is in the radiators. But so like probably double the surface area. So hopefully that overcompensates and cools it down enough. And then I've got a engine temp sensor that I'm mounting right there. So I know what the input water temp is. It's going into the thermostat. And well, I don't know if it's going, yeah, it's going in to see how cool the coolant is. It's going into the engine to cool it. So the engine should run around like 95 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Celsius, I think, in that range. And I can see what my input temperature is. So hopefully that input temperature stays at like 60, and that'll keep the engine cool. So then the differential is that the radiators hopefully knock the engine coolant temperature or the coolant down by like 30 degrees. And then that'll be enough to overcompensate the heat of the engine. So that's that. There's no rad fan because there's no room for any rad fans on any of these things. I had one mounted down here, but there actually wasn't room for it because there just wasn't. I can do it, but it's more complicated. So I took it out. And then what I'm going to actually do is mount some LEDs up here. So if the rad fan were to activate, I'm using the circuit from the rad fan that would turn on the rad fan. That's programmed obviously by the temp sensor in the engine. So if the engine gets too hot such that it would kick on the rad fan, there is no rad fan, but I'll know because my red light indicators will turn on. And then I'll know that shit, I should get moving because I need airflow over the engine to cool it down. So I figure that's my bypass there. That'll work quite well. So it's all coming together just fucking beautifully. It's so slick. And I got this rad grip tape that I bought. It's like a rubberized grip tape to help protect the frame in places because the panels actually sit against it in a few places and I don't want it rubbing against the powder coat. So I've got this grip tape. I'm going to cover parts here to stop any abrasion on the frame. And it actually works as a bumper here too when you turn the forks. It just hits the bumper rather than hitting the frame. So coming together, and not really a bike that you can ride a passenger on because it's so fucking small to start with. You can, but it would look absolutely ridiculous. So we totally have to do that.